Well, it's official. It's actually happening now from Apple. We have the reports. On October 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Apple will be hosting and live streaming an event catered towards more pro-type hardware. So we've got a few things to go over, a few things to look forward to. And either way, I'm excited because this means I get to use an iPad again, finally. So this event is actually kind of sudden, given we got an invite 12 days before the event normally happened. That's why, Apple, you had me kind of scared there for a second. But yeah, some of the changes, some of the different things, or out of the ordinary things we've noticed with this Apple event is that, for one, it's being held in Brooklyn in New York. So typically, Apple events are held on the West Coast. This time they're going for the East Coast, which means poor Tailosive Tech has to get to the office early. The event for me starts at 7 a.m., but I'm sure there's people from all over the world watching this event. Are very, very inconvenient times because you got school, you got work, it's at 3 a.m. I apologize to the people who are gonna have to get up early or stay up late to watch this event, but in case you're wondering what it's all going to be about, I think the invites speak for themselves. For the first time, you see, usually when Apple announces their event, they have some type of promotional image. Sometimes one very similar to the merch we designed here, or it's just the Apple logo done in some unique way. But now, this time around, every single person who's getting an invite seems to be getting a different Apple design. There's all kinds of different ones. There's some that look like Ash, some that look like they were hand-drawn, some look very basic, some look very extravagant, and it's just really, really cool to see how much investment Apple did just in the invitations. And by the invitations, you can kind of figure out what this event's going to be about. iPad Pro is the star of the show. That's what this event's going to be highlighting mostly, and hopefully, we're really expecting an upgrade to the Apple Pencil because it has been too long. That Apple Pencil's so dated. I'm tired of that stupid charge method. So I'm hoping for A, new colors. Let's just get that out of the way. We need new Apple Pencil colors. Just having one color is not enough. And B, a way to adequately and efficiently transport the Apple Pencil with your iPad wherever you go, and a better way of charging it, a better way of pairing it that mirrors more of how AirPods pair to your iPhone. We need something more intuitive than the Apple Pencil is now. Of course, when it comes to the design of the iPad, this is supposed to be a pretty big overhaul. One size bezel, no more home button, maybe no more Touch ID, really depends on what the back of that iPad has in store for us. But from previous reports, we know that the display resolution is still going to be the same as last year's iPad Pros, the only difference being the form factor is now shrinking. So less bezels, but with the same screen resolution. Of course, retaining their 120Hz ProMotion displays. Industry leading and unrivaled, especially in the tablet market. I imagine we'll finally get a new 2018 version of Apple's Gold iPad Pro, which is cool because we got that for the 2018 iPad back in March, but we haven't gotten another iPad in that new gold color. So to the gold enthusiasts out there, you'll have something to add your ecosystem to. And I'm really glad that all the iPads hopefully coming out will have black bezels, not white. I'm glad that that fad is dying out. I'm all about that black bezel and making sure that that display molds into the bezel as seamlessly as possible. And of course, these new iPads will be getting Face ID that reportedly, based on some of the code we're seeing in iOS, should work in both portrait and landscape mode. There was a little bit of a scare there where we were hearing that Face ID would not work in landscape mode on the iPad, so they were going to tack on a Touch ID sensor on the back, which we're pretty sure isn't going to happen now, so that's good news. But it's not all going to be about the iPad, of course. There's also supposedly going to be Mac updates. The one that we know pretty much for sure is going to happen is a more budget-friendly MacBook, and when we say budget, we literally just mean a tiny bit cheaper than the current MacBook. So don't be surprised if the budget MacBook ends up costing $1,000 in the grand scheme of all brand new MacBooks Apple releases. That is a bit more budget-friendly. I'm personally hoping that they can get the price down to $900 to be the most affordable entry point to the macOS lineup. And it won't have an OLED touch bar because people seem to be mildly interested in it. People aren't that crazy about it. But reports are saying it will adopt a Touch ID sensor. Not Face ID. Maybe that's too expensive and they're trying to keep the prices low. But you will be able to unlock this MacBook with your fingerprint and not have to pay for that extra OLED touch bar like you do on a MacBook Pro. So for a lot of people, I imagine this updated MacBook will be the perfect buy. It'll have fairly decent specs and a good entry point for macOS, so overall, update there. We've also had reports in the past of Apple saying that they want to update the Mac Mini, but that was a long time ago and it really hasn't happened yet. So I'm also anticipating that the Mac Mini will finally get its Pro-oriented upgrade or its Pro-oriented model so that for desktop users, you can even have a more affordable way to enter the macOS market and hopefully get some Thunderbolt 3 ports on the back of that thing. And for the purpose of having a mobile live streaming setup, that would be very, very useful for us at the Tailosive Network. So if they do release an updated Mac Mini, we're probably going to end up getting it. Now, some of these other reports are a little bit sketchy. We're not absolutely sure if they're happening, but some people are anticipating that the regular desktop iMacs will get CPU upgrades, GPU upgrades, because they didn't at the Worldwide Developers Conference. Most likely not a design upgrade, while that would be cool. And there's a really cool concept done by Jadseps that showcases what a futuristic all-in-one iMac could look like, kind of blurring the Apple Cinema display with the all-in-one iMacs, and I hope that something like that will eventually happen, but this is all just hypothetical. There's no evidence to support this. And maybe if Apple wants to tease us a little bit more with this keynote, they'll do a one more thing where they showcase the new modular Mac Pro that we've been hearing so much about. Of course, it won't be available very soon, but they'll give us a teaser, sort of like what they did with the iMac Pro last year. They kind of teased it early on and then said it would be available like 6 months later. And that's hopefully what they could do with this event, is kind of tease the modular Mac Pro and then release it 6 months later. But again, grasping at straws. There's not a lot of evidence to suggest this, other than we know Apple's working on both the modular Mac Pro and a Pro-oriented Mac Mini, but we assume it could be at this keynote. We could be wrong. I also want to kill some of the hopes you guys may have out there, because I am anti-happiness, and I want to make sure that old things die and they stay dead. For people expecting new AirPods at this event, I don't think that's what the keynote's going to be about. I think this event is primarily going to be about Pro users, making macOS more affordable and making the iPads more capable with USB-C, external monitor support that supports 4K HDR, really cool bezel-less Pro-oriented iPads, more affordable MacBooks and Macs. But other than that, I don't expect it to be much about iPhones. I don't really expect any kind of sudden raised from the dead iPhone SE2 or anything like that. Don't be expecting that to happen. We also have no evidence to suggest that AirPower is now suddenly going to be ready at this keynote. So don't go believe in that. I don't think AirPower is happening. I think that they're going to try to push that off their site and off their keynotes as much as they can, because the technology was simply not ready and they unveiled it before they knew it was actually possible. So don't be expecting new AirPods upgrades. We've heard reports that they are working on updated AirPods, but most of the reports and rumors I've seen for the AirPods Series 2 or Gen 2 have all said that they'd be coming out mid-2019. Not any of them would be saying they're coming out in 12 days, because if they were, we would likely have a few more leaks, a few more patent filings to suggest that. Like, the reason I believe that an Apple Pencil update is pretty close is because Apple's been passing a lot of patent filings for the new iPad and a new Bluetooth-enabled device to go along with it, which is what makes me think that Apple Pencil's coming soon. If Apple was also about to release new AirPods with new colors and water resistance, then I feel like we would know about it by now, and they haven't. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope that maybe they happen to surprise us and have new AirPods and new AirPower and everything, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't expect it. It's probably not going to happen, so don't get your hopes too high. But yeah, either way, I'm excited for this event. There's so many different logos to choose from. I kind of want to do a Tailosive T in all of those different designs, but that would take too long. Regardless, I want to know what you guys are most looking forward to at this event. For me, it's definitely the new iPads. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. And yes, we will be live streaming our reaction to the event on our Twitch page. So if you're not following us there, make sure you are and got notifications turned on so you get notified when we go live. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day.